To speak to us on the comments that were made at that campaign launch is Dr. Aggrey Darko. He's a political science lecturer with the University of Ghana. Good afternoon, Doc. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, Martin. I hope you are doing fine.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. To start with, it seems the former president is quoting one of the paragraphs in Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, where he says that you don't fight the enemy on the enemy's terms, but rather on your terms. What do you think is the meaning the former president is putting across to the NDC?
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity, and good afternoon to your viewers. That's fundamental. I mean, even in football matches, you realize that anytime any serious team has settled to its own game and not play to the terms of other opponents, they do well. It is when the opponent forces you to abandon your own style of play that you cede your authority and your hegemony to that particular team. Right. So it's what it's trying to just indicate that looking at the track record of the NDC, it's always been a formidable, a party. It's always a force to reckon with. You disregard the NDC at your own peril, and therefore he's saying that look, we have the track record. We know what we can do. We have been there before. We are really the top dog, if you like. We maintain, or we have the hegemonic influence within the political system of Ghana, and therefore let us go by the tactics and the strategies that we are comfortable with, and not necessarily abandon our own strategy because others will want to adopt a certain strategy. So in other words, he's just asking them not to be too reactionary, that they should stay focused and then be consistent with the modus operandi that they are familiar with. Yes. So it's a call in the right direction, actually. Yes.
Right. You have studied Ghana's political landscape for several years. Do you think the NDC has ever underestimated the NPP?
Well, I mean, the fact that we go to church every Sunday and we are asked to do the right thing doesn't mean that all of us are finished, even though the threshold for righteousness is very high. The bar is very high. But we are preached to on every Sunday. We go for church service, we go for prayer services, among others. And so the call, it doesn't really indicate that the party is complacent. Of course, if you look at the year 2000, for instance, where the party lost phenomenally, you reckon that the party was beginning to show serious complacency. They had been in power for 19 years, 11 years under Rawlings, the PNDC, and of course 8 years under the constitutional dispensation. They had spread their tentacles so wide and broad. They had literally, captured the politics of the state, and they were actually riding very high. And therefore, they thought that, well, I mean, there was nothing that could surmount or could overcome them. And in the process, they ceded the authority to the NPP. Right. And what it means is that today's majority can be tomorrow's minority. So he's just trying to re-emphasize the fact that, look, you disregard these important actors at your own peril. You have to just better, stay focused, play the game as you know how to play. Be cautious, because those actors who have been staying in the doldrums, or who have been in the trenches for all these years, even when the constitutional dispensation was not allowed, right, they still managed to keep themselves together. When we are dealing with such groups, it tells you that they have the resilience, and therefore you don't have to be complacent. It doesn't necessarily mean that the party is complacent. Sometimes when you have power, you have what we call the largesse of power. The political patronage is in your favor. Right. You are distributing the largesse of politics among others. There's always the tendency for individuals to be complacent. Okay. So when you have an important actor as Rawlings indicating that, look, there's no point in being complacent because the opponent cannot be underestimated and cannot be underrated. Okay. So that call is in the right direction, yes.
All right. Dr. Aggrey Darko, we thank you very much for your thoughts on what former President Rawlings said.